Secretary, Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, Shri Bimal Julka ji, my dear colleagues from the various ministries and departments in the central government, as also from the state government, from the stakeholders and association members of the film industry, and friends. I would give a brief background on why it is becoming commercially imperative and very viable for a single window clearance system to come in place as soon as possible, and why it is attractive a proposition even from the point of view of foreign and our own filmmakers. This is one aspect. The second one is how we plan to go about it through the standard operating procedures, and get into brief details of the whole thing, and then we will sort of leave it open for various stakeholders, interested parties to make presentation. And when we go away today, after the workshop is over, we should have some concrete points emerging from this national workshop, which will be factored in while we are going to formalize our website, as also on the standard operating procedures, the various points which we will factor in there. And then, of course, the state governments, which are the prime stakeholders and where the shootings are actually held, we will definitely, in the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, benefit from their experience and how they plan to go about it. So there's a small audiovisual presentation which I have for you over here, ladies and gentlemen, which actually I had shared with our friends in the central government ministries and departments, but I would like to share it now with the stakeholders from the film industry, as also our friends from the state government. Next. In fact, in the last couple of years, the domestic theatrical revenue has seen a quantum jump, and in 2012 it actually saw a jump of about 24%, and in 2013 it's going to be a very strong year from all the indications which are there after March. So it's a very good sign with regard to the theatrical revenue. And the revenue, this theatrical revenue in fact contributes about 76%, which is a huge sum which you see in front of you, to the Indian film industry. With this digital format of distribution of the films, which is actually about 80% now in comparison, even the tier 2 and tier 3 markets, or Mufassil towns so to speak, also now get to see the film on the day it is released. Next. And I mean, there's a shift from the physical print to the digital distribution, and the digital format has increased from roughly 50% in 2010 to about 80% in 2012. Because you see, it is actually an exercise in de-risking the business, because what is happening actually is that most of the revenues is garnered within a couple of weeks of the film having released, in fact within 1 week, 2 weeks. And now we are also seeing that, from a week model, it's sort of getting into a weekend mode, where because of the price differential, the producer actually covers most of his costs during the weekend. So then of course India is heavily under-screened, and every year there's a sizable number of actually multiplexes which are opening, and despite increase in prices of the tickets, they all seem to be doing very well. Next. Print distribution I've already talked about. Initially, I mean, a couple of years ago, I remember perhaps Three Idiots opened to about 1,000 in 1,000 screens. Then Dabangg and one more film, I forget, perhaps it was Ek Tha Tiger. which opened to about 3,500 screens put together. And the footfalls, especially of the PVR, have increased by at least 40% in the last 1 year. Next. Increasing number of Hollywood films are actually succeeding at the box office. And Life of Pi, Avenger, Skyfall, I mean, these are all films which have done great business over here. And the Indian audience, whether it is the regional audience, is also now looking forward to more of foreign films coming into India. Next. We have this system of co-production, ladies and gentlemen, which we have entered into with various countries, like Brazil, like Spain, like Ireland, like Poland, Britain, and NFDC actually has collaborated on films like Kissa and Dabba and Arunodaya, and they're all international co-productions. And recently I have noticed that a lot of people who sort of leverage this co-production thing, and through their international sales agents, they tend to actually get their rights sold off very easily, much before the films are released in countries overseas. Next. A lot of international studios like Warner, as you know, like Fox, Paramount, they have all now, Sony, Disney, they all have now entered the Indian market. And having entered the Indian market, actually they have also collaborated with a lot of corporate houses which are doing well in film production areas. Now what is happening is that with this collaboration, they tend to acquire sort of an experience in India, and this experience which they are acquiring will obviously help to cut costs and increase their efficiency when they bring in foreign film productions into India. So this is a good sign. Next. Many countries offer incentives on shooting. They range from tax rebates, free stay, visa facilitation. Fiji, for example, offers a sizable percentage in terms of tax rebate, and Anubhav Sinha's film Warning has recently been filmed in Fiji. Spain also offers it. So now when we get down to discussing this aspect with the state government, I'm sure the state government will have a lot to say on these aspects. Next. One more thing, I mean, you see, the Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, which was shot, as you know, or a couple of other films, Slumdog Millionaire, etc. But it really is not making, sir, too much of a difference in terms of people coming in to India. Whereas somehow, you know, when Lord of the Rings was shot in Ireland, or some film gets shot in Scotland, or if Thailand gets an exposure, you know, so consequently there is, or say for example, if a Chinese film gets shot in Australia, then there's immediately a kind of a influx of people from those countries into the places where those locations are there. But somehow it has really not happened in our country. We need to actually think about why has it not happened. I mean, of late there have been films like for example, the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, or there's one more film, I forget, of course Life of Pi is there. I forget one more film which was recently shot. But somehow it doesn't, you know, we don't actually draw the kind of mileage which we could draw, or perhaps should be drawing, which the other countries seem to be drawing. So that is something which we need to sort of think about. Now, these are the various stages, and this is the second aspect I'm coming to. These are the various stages of film production. I'm just quickly going through it, ladies and gentlemen, because there's lots to come after I have finished. One is, of course, the development of the whole idea of film, then the pre-production stage, the shooting, and the post-production stage. Now, this development aspect is something which takes place internally with the foreign film producer or with our own producers. But overseas, one has noticed that the pre-production duration is much longer than actually the production duration. But over here in India, as it pans out, it kind of amounts to the same amount of time, meaning about 8 to 10 weeks or roundabouts. In the pre-production stage, what is involved is the finalizing of the shooting locations, cast and crew, the equipment, shooting schedule, logistics. So these are the things when the line producer is actually sort of grounding the whole thing. He needs a sizable amount of help forthcoming from the state governments. Next. Set construction takes place, skilled, unskilled labor and technicians are hired. While they are hired locally, skilled and technical staff usually get sourced from the regional film production centers. The regional film production centers are Hyderabad, Chennai, Kolkata. In fact, film production centers are also actually, perhaps we'll like to know from our colleagues from the state government if there's one perhaps which is coming up in Dehradun, there's one which is perhaps being mulled over in Goa, there's one perhaps which is being mulled over in West Bengal. So obviously, if there is something on those lines, as far as the infrastructure is being talked of, then this will definitely come as a big help. And next. And post-production state, in fact, we have agencies which have gone into post-production and the kind of amenities which they offer, especially in terms of visual effects and framing. I mean, I'm told that Avatar was post-produced here, and Life of Pi, and I think there's an agency called Prime Focus which has done a great job in this area. So we have post-production facilities of the world standards which actually result in cost cutting. So I mean, right from the time of pre-production stage up to post-production stage, if everything takes place over here and it does make commercial sense, ladies and gentlemen, then why don't we have this thing in place as soon as possible is what I wanted to drive at. Next. Acha, what does the current process entail? The current process entails, this is the third aspect, is the foreign producer contacts a line producer in India and sends in the script. And then the script suggests the shooting locations, and after getting the go-ahead from the foreign producer, the line producer scouts and firms up the shooting locations, applies to our ministry with copies of the script and a list of the foreign cast crew and the proposed shooting locations. Next. And then we get the script evaluated and based on the recommendations, and then of course the Ministry of Home Affairs comes into picture, or depending on the locations, Ministry of Defence comes into picture, and concurrently we so after the permission has been given or denied, the entire process takes about 4 to 6 weeks to complete. Next. After receiving the information broadcasting permission, the foreign producer then approaches other central government ministries, state government departments based on his shooting requirements. And if the shooting requirement desires that, necessitates that they approach other ministries, civil aviation, railways, etc., culture, then they go to them. Next. Then, of course, the whole thing gets replicated at the state and the local level with regard to the police, municipal corporation, state archaeological departments, etc. Traffic. So there's a plethora of approvals, as you all know, which are involved. Next. Shortcomings of this current process, the multiplicity of agencies which I just mentioned. So, I mean, despite having a varied choice of suitable location and not much of it has actually been explored, we still tend to lack, and the opportunity loss in terms of employment generation, ancillary, hospitality industry, all that is there, and in fact it also actually ends up, in opportunity loss for the foreign filmmakers also, and their finances, etc., which get affected. Next. I mean, I've just given one instance of Mumbai where, I mean, if you're shooting there, then there is one set of no objection certificates which are involved, and after you've shot there's another one where you sort of apply it, and then the producer gets his deposits back, which most of the time he forgoes, but it leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. So all that is there. Next. And then he has to pay to the local police authorities for hiring police on the day of the shooting, the crowd management. But I'm told that most of the crowd management is now being done very informally, which is again something which is not desirable. And the district magistrates also, there's a problem which is faced with regard to permissions. Same is the case with railways, which has so many zones and divisions and various categories of stations, A, B, C. Next. So this is with regard to railways, and then of course with regard to the archaeological survey, the shooting permissions, night shooting, of course we discussed it last time, which is not perhaps possible for security reasons. Next. I was for old bungalows in cantonment areas which belongs to the Ministry of Defence. Forest areas, at least the buffer areas, the fringe areas which do not come under the core area, would perhaps be not debarred for shooting, and so these are various things. In fact, one of our colleagues from the Ministry of Tourism had then mentioned, and which is a very good thing, that with regard to the Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Tourism, we could actually have a list of places where the decision from these ministries could come at the earliest, meaning thereby that if you already have something on paper, that if it relates to those locations, then because you see what happens is that if you approach the Ministry of Defence, then the Ministry of Defence perhaps goes to its field formations, and then the field formations revert to them, and then they revert to us, in which case it takes a lot of time. So there are ways and means of sort of circumventing and shortcoming these processes, which perhaps we can factor in our standard operating procedure, and also list out some of the areas of locations and things which we can immediately go ahead with. Next. Visa duration for the foreign crew. I mean, if the film shooting over here is going to take place for a certain length of time, I think the visa should be given for that much period of time, rather than visas to be again applied for. But I suppose that's not a major problem, because last time when we discussed it, the Ministry of External Affairs was on board on this. There's a problem of bulk transportation which comes up when the entire shooting team with the equipment moves from one city to the other. That's another thing which we need to actually keep it in mind. Next. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the process of setting up a single window clearance system, and against this background, we formed an inter-ministerial committee in the month of April, and whether they are Indian filmmakers, whether they are foreign filmmakers, we shall now facilitate all the clearances, endeavor to facilitate all the clearances which are required in a time-bound fashion. We have a draft standard operating procedure which we've shared with the state government and the central government also. Next. We have in the interministerial committee, ladies and gentlemen, representation from all the nine ministries and departments, and of course we will co-opt members on a case-to-case basis from the state government as also from other ministries in case a need is felt. And the secretariat of the committee is being provided by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Next. As I said, it's been drafted, standard operating procedure, and to cut short the delay, this standard operating procedure is actually basically a facilitation tool. I mean, it's in no way trying to sort of short circuit the permissions. That is not the idea. The idea is wherever the permissions are involved, the permissions will have to be given or denied, but then the whole procedure for it will be facilitated. That's the underlying idea. Next. So we are actually already in consultation. The Secretary INB is already written to the state governments to actually provide us with all the information, basic resource-based information from the state government, so that we can factor it in, and it'll include data on various requirements like visa, custom clearances, railways, cultural sensibilities, etc. And will also include a production resource guide, as I just mentioned, to highlight what we have to offer on every aspect of production, including logistics, including talent, including availability of hotels, including taxi services, I mean, what have you, I mean, medical services, everything, so that at least when the foreign filmmaker, and of course a virtual guide which will take them through the various tourism products. Suppose if they want to go through a tourism product in a particular place, then there will be a photograph, I mean there will be a video strip which will take them around in the insides of that tourism product. So it will give them a basic idea of what it is to like, and then he can in turn request his agent in India to accordingly scout for locations. Next. State-wise digital location library of the panoramic images which I just mentioned, and of course transport, hospitality, medical. NFDC and others could also, tie up with big studios, offer discounts to producers, and of course on the question of debates, discounts, etc. We'll discuss those things here today also. And this will encourage what NFDC would do, post-production exercise, which already is on in some way or the other in India. Next. The idea is to make the entire process online with payment gateway, etc. And we hope to put this on the ground as soon as possible. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.